Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Rob Smith for Combat Sports UK. I'm joined here with Cage Warriors light heavyweight Charles Joyner. Charles, how are we, mate?
Yeah, good. Just finished a heavy wrestling session and just breathed some water in just before the interview. So if I start coughing and spluttering, that's why. I'm not sick.
It feels a bit strange having to really raise the mic.
I know. Get a good shoulder work out there.
So the main reason I'm here today is you've got a fight and it's a big fight. Do you want to let the viewers know who you're fighting and where?
Yeah, so I'm fighting Cage Warriors 181, Newcastle, fighting Yannick Behati. Really experienced guy. You know, he's had triple the fight professional MMA fights I've had. He's former world champion in multiple organisations. He's fought, current UFC world champion. So it's a step up in competition in my MMA career. But I think that's the sort of challenge I'm ready for now.
And when we last spoke on camera, you were just coming off that big win at Cage Warriors at the last Newcastle event at 172 with a huge knee at the body. And since then, you've had a very dominant decision win at Glasgow. So coming to this one, do you feel like this is like the next big step in your career?
Yeah. I feel like these are the ones where, you get a win like this and then you're knocking on the door of the UFC. I feel like, I've made a bit of noise in Cage Warriors anyway. I think people like my style. It's something different as well, 6'8" light heavyweight from Australia as well. Try and use that to my advantage as well. So I feel like all those things. Then you also need to get the wins and the names on your record. That's what everyone always says when can I get into the you go, what do I need to do to get to the UFC? It's you need to beat names, and someone like this, like I said, he's a name that gets you knocking on the door. So yeah.
And what do you know about your opponent?
So I know quite a bit because we used to we trained together a bit in Liverpool when I was living in Liverpool. I was living in the dorms and in the gym, and he'd come and stay in the dorm sometimes. So he's one of the first people I trained with over in the UK, and I just know he's dangerous everywhere. He's a good guy. I know he's dangerous everywhere. He's experienced, and I know obviously he's got aspirations to get a Cage Warriors title and to do well, sort of redeem himself. He's on a 3-fight skid, so I think people like that are dangerous as well, because when you're at that point and you're willingly still fighting, you've got a point to prove. You want to redeem yourself. So I just know he's going to be dangerous. That's about it.
Having trained with him in the past, does that give you more confidence coming into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he's evolved since we trained together. I mean, I've definitely evolved. I hadn't even started MMA training yet, and since then I've gone on 5 professional fights and then put myself in a position where it makes sense to get matched up with guys as experienced as him. So, but yeah, I mean, when you're familiar with someone, it gives you a bit of confidence. I think you can be either side of the coin, can't you? It can give you less confidence or it can give you more confidence. So it gives me confidence. So that might tell you what side of the coin he might be on. But yeah.
And so now you're on a 3-fight win streak. Winning this one, it's 4. It's in Cage Warriors. You don't have to exactly rack up too many wins to get a title shot. With a big win against Behati, do you see yourself getting a title shot, maybe potentially?
Yeah, I think that's where it's going. I think the winner of this will get the title shot. I think that makes sense. I think they're pushing me that way anyway, and I think, like you say, the light heavyweight division's pretty shallow as it is. But if that's what they want to do next year, that's cool. But for me, I just want to get to the UFC. So if the UFC come knocking before, then I'll be signing that contract as quick as I can.
We talk about the UFC. I saw a social media post, I think it's posted by the British MMA scene on Instagram, and they were talking about how they had you as their fighter to watch for next year, and they believe you had a contender series in your future. Do you think that's like what could be in your future next year?
Yeah, I think 2025 I'll be in the UFC. That's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm going for. I'll be 30 in April next year. I think for a light heavyweight, that's perfect age. I'm not exactly. I know I'm young in my MMA career, but I've had a big kickboxing career as well. So, I'm experienced. I'm dangerous. I get finishes. I'm a different style. I'm from Australia and the UK. I feel I just tick loads of boxes. And if I could just keep getting those wins, I think it's inevitable. Next year I'll be in there.
And for those who don't know your story, kind of explain to us how you've gone from sunny Australia to cold Siam. How have you ended up here?
Well, I was born in the UK originally, and it was just during the COVID lockdown in Australia. It got really bad in 2021. We were being told that it might, last for a number of years, or we just were unsure how long it would go on for. So I thought, well, I've got a British passport. I'm just gonna come over here, and I had to get permission from the government to leave. Got permission, came over here, and I just thought I'll give it a crack. And I quickly realised this was the place to be, so just stayed here.
And what kind of talk about your kickboxing career? What made you make the switch from kickboxing to MMA?
I think I always had in the back of my head that I'd do. Yeah, I got into kickboxing because I was enjoying MMA, and I just started. I thought I'll just start with kickboxing, and then I'll eventually do BJJ because that's what I thought you did. You do kickboxing and BJJ, and you know I just kept on fighting in kickboxing, just kept on winning, and then I eventually just thought, you know that typical thing with a striker. It's like, well, I can be one of the best strikers in the world, but there can be amateurs in a gym who've been training for a few months with a bit of grappling that can take you down and submit you. And that's what I realised when I started training MMA. So I just thought, if I want to be the best fighter in the world, and being the best MMA fighter is how you do that. Being the best kickboxer doesn't necessarily mean you're the best fighter in the world. So yeah, that was my motivation to come to MMA. And MMA is a sport on the rise. I mean, Glory was doing well for a while. One championship would do okay, but what compares to the UFC really? That's the one. So yeah.
And when you made that transition to implementing BJJ into your game, was it like were you kind of like a bit of deer in the headlights? Were you a bit taken aback at how difficult it was?
I knew it would be. I definitely, because I trained with MMA guys in Australia, and I trained with UFC guys, so I knew that it would be difficult. And I think because I was aware of that, and then I could also go in with a learning mindset, because that's how I approached my kickboxing. It made it a little bit easier, and I wasn't disheartened or discouraged, but there was definitely, it was definitely challenging. I know when I first came to TFT, I was just getting knacked by everyone. So it's like anything. I just knew that, eventually if you stick something out for long enough, you're just going to keep improving, and then one day you'll be better. And now, now I'm here. I feel like on the verge of the UFC, so yeah, it's just got to stick it out, really.
It's no surprise on video. You're a very tall guy, 6'8".
Yeah.
How much do you think that you must have that much benefit, so much, especially with the kickboxing style? You must be able to keep that range so well. So, is it just genetics, or what is it? Something you've particularly eaten to get so tall?
I guess it's got to be genetics. I feel my parents always fed me really well and got me eating healthy food. Maybe moving to Australia and being in the sun as well. I know because my dad's probably just under 6'3". And he's the next tallest, so I'm a fair bit taller than him. Everyone, when they see my parents, go, "Oh, we thought you'd be taller than that." So I don't know. I just kept on growing. It wasn't growth hormone or anything like that when I was a kid, but it was just. I promise. It was just not. It was just. I don't know. It was like I was just built to do this. Yeah.
And you talk about UFC goals. Do you have a dream opponent in the UFC? It could be someone active, it could be someone retired, but we'll do one of each. So we have anyone retired, any current active light heavyweights that you would like to fight the most?
So retired, probably someone like Chuck Liddell, because I just see he's the man, isn't he? And then he's a bit chinny now, so I reckon I'd just chin him straight away. And then, active. You got to go the champ, don't you? You got to go Pereira. You know what? I feel like my style matches up pretty well with his style at the moment.
That's a fight, yeah.
I feel like, and that's the thing. I know people probably think it's delusional, but that's how you got to think of yourself. I feel like I could get to the UFC and it'd be a few wins, and that's a realistic fight, And I think my style matched up well. Even like Vakatov, who's the Glory champ, who's just gone in there. I was watching his Contenders series debut, and I was like, my style is good for maybe in kickbox. He's got a great kickboxing style, but I feel like my MMA striking style just matches up well with that. Especially if they're not going to be shooting Vakatov's not going to be shooting takedowns. Pereira's not going to be shooting takedowns. I don't have to worry about that. I think either of those two guys. But I feel like the light heavyweight division's built for strikers at the moment though as well. It's just all strikers, and I look at those guys. I'm like, I can mix it with those guys now. So anyone.
And talk to me about your gym here at TFT and being in Seaham and just the North East in general. I'm from the North East. I'm from Stockton. It's a community we've got here. We all back each other. Yeah. When everyone fights, like Rise and Conquer over the weekend, everyone got behind each other. So how much has been moving to this gym benefited your career?
Oh yeah, it's I mean, and I always say it's Fisher's, and everyone that trains him says that he's a mastermind. And people don't realise because he's humble and he doesn't promote himself. He's not doing like reels to show how good of a coach he is, but he's got to be the best coach in the country in terms of knowledge and the guys he's developing. It's and I think I always say you're gonna see it in the next couple of years. These guys. I mean, you look at like Mick Parkin. Now, I think Mick's a testament to Fisher's coaching because Fisher is developing every aspect of his game, and it's the same with me. Like you might think, oh, he fought at a decent level kickboxing, so what striking is he going to teach you? But he's completely revolutionised my striking style, and it's for my style. He's not trying to make it. His style's completely different to mine, but he's not trying to make me fight like him. He's making me fight. He's researching and thinking about what style I need to work on and what I need to do to have success. So, and then that trickles down from the top. Everyone's got such like a good mindset. Like no one. I mean, you can be the most successful person in here, but you're going to get roasted straight away. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got Phil, who's like a 10 times world champion, but every day he just gets roasted and he gives it back. That's just the sort of environment. So it is a proper family in here, but then that extends to we have people coming in from other gyms. We go to other gyms in the northeast. Everyone's supportive of each other, and like you say, Rise and Conquer, shows like that. You see what a good atmosphere it is there, and then I think Cage Warriors Newcastle is just like the perfect expression of that northeast talent because that is Cage Warriors Newcastle is the best show in the UK.
Oh, 100%. The card stack.
Aye, and just. Even just the atmosphere, last time we didn't have as stacked a cards, but the atmosphere was just unbelievable.
It's going to go off this time.
This one is just it's going to be ridiculous. And I think, obviously you got the UFC shows, but I feel like the atmosphere at this Cage Warriors Newcastle is just going to be top even that. And I think people don't realise until they come to a Cage Warriors Newcastle and they go, wow, everyone's just having a good time. And yeah, it's just if you're from the area, people get behind you. But in saying that, when they said I was from Sunderland, it was dead silent. But when they said I was from Sydney, that got a cheer. So, it's good. It's good. I think the northeast is overlooked and underrated on the MMA
massively.
scene.
I think as an MMA scene, we're growing massively. You got TFT, MMA, Rourke, MTK is now smashing it as well. Got so many good gyms coming in the northeast now. I think give it a few more years. Obviously, got likes of George and Harry and Cage Warriors now. I feel they're UFC bound. They've got to be soon. Yeah. I think give it another 5 or so, maybe not in 5 years. People are going to start to realise how good northeast MMA really is.
100%. I think it's because everyone that comes from here is just understated. No one's really putting themselves out there too much. But I think you need to do that in this sport. You need to put yourself out there, but it will come with time. And I think you might get a UFC Newcastle one day. I think that sort of thing could happen. I mean, loads of the guys that are on the Cage Warriors card, they could be on a UFC card now, So it's yeah.
And my final question was, can I get an official prediction for the fight?
Yeah, so I think second round finish. I think first round will be tricky, and he'll be dangerous. But he's been out of the cage for 18 months. He hasn't got a win since 2019. So although he's experienced these, those things play a factor. And I think my style just drains people as well. I think I'm big, but I'm also light on my feet and I'm quick. So it's stressful. And I think, as we've seen, people try and shoot a takedown, I defend it, and then that's when the panic sets in. So I think the first round will be one to keep switched on for, and then I think second round I'll get him out of there, and then I'll be asking for that contract then.
So if you don't get a second round finish, I'm going to have to come for you if I put a bet on. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
I don't fancy my chances, but I'll give it a go.
If I'm a bit banged up from the fight, you might have a chance.
Right, well, Charles, I want to thank you for your time, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Sweet. Cheers.